It all began in August 2016, when a young man's life took a spine-chilling turn. The man was Kennedy Ife, a 26-year-old from North London, whose life had been as ordinary as any other. But as the summer sun blazed over London, a sinister shadow fell over Kennedy's existence. His behavior started to shift, his actions became strange, and his demeanor unrecognizable. Kennedy began displaying an unsettling aggression, a stark contrast to his usual calm personality. His family watched in growing horror as this gentle soul transformed into a creature of rage. One day, in an act of uncharacteristic violence, he bit his father, his teeth sinking into the flesh and shocking the household into silence. But the aggression wasn't just directed outwards. Kennedy started threatening to harm himself, talking of severing his own body parts in a chilling, detached tone. His family, paralyzed by fear, could only watch as he spiraled into madness. Then came the most terrifying confession. Kennedy started complaining of an alien presence within him. A python or a snake, he said, slithering inside him, taking over his mind and controlling his actions. His words were drenched with fear and desperation, painting a horrifying picture of his internal struggle. For the next 3 days, the Ife family embarked on a terrifying journey of faith and fear. This wasn't a journey traversed on foot or by car, but a journey of the spirit, a perilous path through the shadowy realms of belief and desperation. It was a path they believed they had no choice but to tread. The family home, once a sanctuary, transformed into a chilling theatre of horror. Tension hung heavy in the air, the only sound the fervent whispers of prayer and the unsettling rustle of cable ties. Kennedy Ife, a 26-year-old man, was now a prisoner within his own body, restrained to his bed, his family's desperate attempt to cage the beast they believed lurked within him. Their faith, once a source of comfort and unity, now drove them to frightening extremes. The family wasn't battling a sickness they could see or touch. No, this was something far more insidious, a malevolent entity they believed had taken residence within Kennedy, a demon intent on destruction. Colin Ife, Kennedy's brother, later told police, "It's clear that thing was in him, what we believed was a demon because it was not natural. It was clearly trying to kill him." His words echoed the palpable fear that had consumed the household, a chilling testament to their unwavering belief in the supernatural. The family stood united, their collective will aimed at exorcising the demon they believed possessed Kennedy. The air was thick with desperation and fear, but also a strange kind of hope. A hope that prayer, faith and restraint would be enough to free Kennedy from the insidious grip of the entity they believed had taken hold of him. Yet, as the days wore on, hope began to falter. Kennedy's condition worsened, his body weakening under the strain of his ordeal. His pleas for relief, his cries of dehydration and the increasingly evident breathing issues were met with more prayer, more restraint. All the while, Kennedy remained bound to his bed, his condition worsening with each passing day. The family's desperate attempt for a cure had turned into a chilling countdown to a tragic end. On the third day, the family's dread reached a climax. As dawn broke, Kennedy's condition had drastically worsened. His once lively eyes were now clouded with pain and desperation. He began to complain of dehydration, his voice barely a whisper, his throat raw from the ceaseless cries for help that echoed through the house. The family, driven by fear and anxiety, watched helplessly as Kennedy's health deteriorated. His breathing became labored, each breath a battle against the unseen force that had taken hold of him. His body, once robust and full of life, was now frail and weak, ravaged by the invisible snake he believed was inside him. Despite the relentless prayers, the family's efforts to exorcise the supposed demon seemed futile. Their home, once filled with laughter and joy, was now a chamber of horror, its walls echoing with the sounds of despair and fear. As the morning sun began to illuminate the room, Kennedy's breathing issues took a turn for the worse. His chest heaved with effort, his eyes wide with terror. The family, bound by their belief, held on to their faith, praying fervently for a miracle. But the miracle they hoped for never came. At exactly 10:17 in the morning, Kennedy's battle with the unseen ended. His body, unable to withstand the strain any longer, gave way. His eyes, once filled with life, were now vacant, staring into the abyss. His family, their voices hoarse from days of praying, fell into a stunned silence. The horror of the situation was beginning to sink in. In the aftermath of Kennedy's death, a chilling truth began to unravel. The investigation into this shocking incident sparked a torrent of accusations, casting a grim shadow over the Ife family. Police were called to the scene, but their arrival brought no peace to the grieving household. Instead, it marked the beginning of a dark saga of legal battles and public scrutiny. The accusations against the family were manifold and severe. They were charged with manslaughter, false imprisonment, and causing or allowing the death of a vulnerable adult. Each charge a terrible blow, each word an accusation that hung heavy in the air. The evidence was damning. A post-mortem examination revealed over 60 wounds on Kennedy's body, a gruesome testament to his final days. Among these injuries, a possible bite mark stood out, a chilling reminder of the violence that had unfolded within the family home. It wasn't just Kennedy who bore the marks of this ordeal. His father, Kenneth Ife, and 4 of his brothers also sustained injuries, silent witnesses to the struggle that had taken place. Kenneth Ife, the patriarch of the family, was brought before the jury. He admitted to ordering his sons to use overwhelming force to restrain Kennedy, but he vehemently denied that their actions had anything to do with cults, occults, or secret societies. His words echoed through the courtroom, a desperate plea of innocence amid a sea of damning evidence. The police investigation painted a horrifying picture of a family pushed to the edge, resorting to desperate measures in their attempt to cure their son. The actions of the Ife family, driven by fear and desperation, had resulted in a heartbreaking tragedy. The Ife family was now under scrutiny, their actions bringing them before the law. As the courtroom doors closed behind them, they faced the reality of their situation. Their lives, once marked by the ordinary rhythms of family and faith, were now forever tainted by the spectre of this horrific event. March 14, 2019, a day of reckoning for the Ife family. The atmosphere in the courtroom was thick with anticipation. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the culmination of the 4 days of intense jury deliberation. The Ife family, 7 in number, had been standing trial, accused of manslaughter, false imprisonment, and causing or allowing the death of a vulnerable adult, their own kin, Kennedy Ife. The jury filed in, their faces solemn and unreadable. The courtroom fell silent as the foreperson rose to deliver the verdict. "Not guilty," they declared, "on all counts." A collective gasp echoed around the room. The Ife family had been cleared of all charges. The implications of this verdict were far-reaching. It meant that Kennedy Ife's death, a death that had shocked the nation and sparked a media frenzy, was left unaccounted for. In the end, the family was absolved of all charges, leaving behind a puzzling and chilling tale. Kennedy Ife's story is a terrifying testament to the power of belief. Over a span of 3 days, this ordinary North London home became a chilling stage for horror, as a family's desperate attempt to exorcise what they believed to be a demon resulted in a tragic loss. This chilling narrative of fear, faith, and a deadly exorcism, etched with the horrors of those 72 hours, leaves us with a stark reminder of the dark corners of our world.